welcome to Off Topic with Mike and JD. I'm JD.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight, we're not going to be talking about the Incredible Hulk.
Oh.
Instead, we're going to talk about something more controversial than what we usually talk about. Something that nerds and Christmas fans have been debating for years and years and years. The Star Wars Holiday Special. Dun dun dun. So yeah, we're talking about the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yes, they finally dusted it off from the back of the Disney vault, much to George Lucas's chagrin. I think he once said if he could go around and burn every VHS copy, he would.
Fun fact, Carrie Fisher made him give her a copy of it to do some audio commentary on one of the DVDs. She was actually a fan of it because she loved how she got to sing it in it.
Yeah.
Because those of you don't know, Carrie Fisher's mother was Debbie Reynolds, very famous for her singing ability. So,
this is just such a cool little time capsule to like Star Wars in the before times, you know, like the original Star Wars movie had come out, but that was it. It was just, there was nothing else. It was just like a movie. Like it was just a good movie. It wasn't Star Wars yet.
Yeah. Which, I'll go into this in a bit more detail later, but I think that was part of the problem with this, is that there wasn't enough lore for it to work with.
Yeah, I think also, like, I mean, you know, I don't want to jump into it too quick, but I think that, yeah, there's just a lot going on. It was sort of in the days of, like, the TV variety hour, and, like, you know, there were a lot of, like, cartoon shorts, you know.
Yeah.
The special, it's a very much a product of its time in the sense that TV is a lot more narrative driven and a lot more weighty than I think it ever was back in the 70s. You know, if you watch old episodes of, you know, Star Wars and Star Trek and Doctor Who and you know, even like the more like sci-fi shows of the time, they're very camp. They're very, like, all over the place, you know, cartoons were just, like, these 20-minute variety shows. So, you know, I don't think even necessarily they were setting out to make, like, oh, this is, like, The Mandalorian. Like, they weren't setting out to tell a story. They were just like, yeah, you know, whatever, here's some fun stuff with the Star Wars characters.
Well, yeah. Also, that I think it was written by and for the time, meaning it was written by and for people on drugs. Like, I mean,
you're not wrong.
I cannot believe that a sober person wrote this. Like, they were definitely on drugs when they wrote this. I mean, it was the 70s.
Especially those Wookiee hologram scenes. You're like, man, I want what he's having.
Which, it's like, let's just start off, like, so, focusing on Chewbacca's topic, that wasn't a bad idea. The problem was, they're just yelling at growling at each other, stalling at each other the whole time. Like, that's like off the bat, it's like, why aren't there at least subtitles? Like, off the back.
Or at least, you know, a character that speaks basic to, like, translate. I mean, you wouldn't want to watch Chewbacca by himself for a long time because, you know, even... Like, I don't necessarily love the idea of subtitles for Chewbacca, but, like, I'd rather that than just, like you said, just growling for a long time.
Yeah. It's that is right off the bat. It's like, how did you make that mistake? Like, oh, we're just going to have these characters snarl, growl, make these weird noises with no context to it. Like I said, hence they must have been on drugs part. Like, it's just, like that right off the bat. It's like, how did you think that would be entertaining? But
I just, you know, I don't know. It's interesting. It starts off really strong in terms of, like, you know, I know a lot of it's recycled footage, but it starts out really strong with the scene in the Millennium Falcon with Harrison Ford, and it's like, oh man, like they're being attacked by a Star Destroyer. You're like, this is gonna be the Star Wars that I know and love, and like. You know, then you arrive on Chewbacca's home planet, like the Kashyyyk matte paintings look really cool, and you're like, oh man, like I've always wanted to see Kashyyyk. and then after that, it's just nothing.
Yeah, see, I think parts of this are like so bad that it's good, but just other parts of it are just like not even so bad that it's good. It's just like, wow, this is just plain bad. Like the circus part. I mean, that part was when they watching the circus on the holiday.
It's just painful and boring. Like
yeah,
it's just nothing.
Exactly.
Or the cooking show.
Oh, and that is such a disappointment. Wait, that is such a disappointment because for those who don't know, that's Harvey Corman. He's most famous for his roles in Mel Brooks movies, particularly Blazing Saddles, where he played Hedley Lamar. He is a hilarious actor, super funny actor, and he had to do such a boring scene.
Yeah, you would think if you're getting someone like him to be in your show, give him like a more meaty role, like the I mean, to be fair, everything, so many of the scenes have really talented people in them. Like obviously the famous like Cantina song, it's all very it's all very star-studded in a weird way for its time. So, I'll give it that. But it's just like they didn't know what to do with anybody. They were just like, all right, here, here's throw a bunch of stuff and then
though, honestly, with the cooking part, I think that really could have it could have really worked somewhere. Like, oh, it's a cooking show but in outer space. Like, if they actually did something with it. It could have been really funny. The only thing that was mildly amusing was the double arms thing.
I mean, that was like kind of funny, but I don't know.
They didn't lean into that. They didn't lean into it. Was the problem? They didn't that could have been a funny scene if they leaned into the science thing. Part of it. Also, the other part about it that's also, I mean, wasn't as big at the other time, but now that makeup he was wearing, that's maybe not quite blackface, but it's definitely too close to being blackface. That's comfortable.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of questionable things about that.
Yeah, but like I said, see those parts, but the ground part is terrible, but it's so terrible that it's kind of amusing. This is so bad that there's no subtitles. At least, okay, it's bad and amusing, but the cooking. The circus hologram thing, that's just bad. It's just nothing. It didn't even reach the level up so bad it's good.
Well, it's just weird. I guess it's just odd. Of who was this for? There's often these things where you're like, who was this for? I've watched a lot of the Star Wars. In fact, I actually quite enjoyed the Star Wars, the old cartoons, and we'll get to the cartoon in this in a second, but. I used to love the old Star Wars cartoons like Ewoks and droids, and they're really bad. Yeah. They're not good. But they know exactly the audience they're going for. It's children. They want a children's cartoon, and it's fun and it's silly. A child would not have the attention span to watch the Star Wars Holiday Special. I tried to watch it as a kid on early YouTube, and I just tuned out. I'm just this is so boring, and I'm obsessed with Star Wars.
Which to be. I love how Disney never took it off YouTube. It was the perfect balance between we're not acknowledging this, but we'll let you watch it anyway because
it's you can find it if you want.
All you do Star Wars Holiday Special, there it is, full length and everything. Any other Disney owned property would be off in 2 seconds. That's been up for years because Disney is making the perfect balance. We'll let you watch it, but we're not taking ownership of it. But now they're starting to take ownership of it. But at the top, that was the original plan.
I think now, especially comedy in Star Wars has always been a very finicky thing. Especially the conversation came up around the time Solo was released. There were talk that Lord and Miller's Solo was too comedic and too wacky, and Jim Carrey the idea of comedy in Star Wars has always been a sort of touchy subject for a lot of fans. And I love, to me, the funny moments in Star Wars are so funny. I find C-3PO hysterical. There's a lot of really funny moments in Star Wars. But then, of course, you get, the Jar Jar and the slapstick and the farting, and you're what is this? So it's difficult to strike the balance, and I think, like we were saying, with this being so early, like they really hadn't figured it out yet. Of like, how serious is Star Wars? Like, is this like, oh, the deep lore of Star Wars, or is this like, it's a wacky, fun kids adventure like The Last Starfighter? You know, it hadn't quite established its tone yet. But now with Disney releasing more like the Lego Star Wars stuff and like the Star Wars
family, some of those are actually quite funny.
Yeah, I loved I haven't seen the Halloween special, but I loved the previous Christmas special.
But and you never watched the Droid Tales? It's like C-3PO retelling the Star Wars trilogy, but not trilogy, all the films. But there's a lot of in-jokes in it. It's like Jar Jar Binks immediately gets blasted away. It's like, we're not supposed to have a bigger part. He's like, oh, Amidala was no longer the queen. She was promoted to be a senator, which I don't quite understand. And so there's a lot of in-jokes in that. But see, it's just it though. You say that the early they didn't understand the comedy, but actually, just a couple years later, not Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker guest starred on The Muppet Show. And it was hilarious. I mean, there was some scenes where he's like, oh, I'll get my identical cousin Mark Hamill to sing a song here. But a lot of it was him in Luke Skywalker character. And it was just funny.
But I think that's more to do with the Muppets being funny and the writers of that show. Because, you know, in sort of when you take Star Wars out of Star Wars, it's a little easier to have fun with it. Because you're like, okay, this is Family Guy, but Star Wars. Or this is like Phineas and Ferb, but Star Wars. It's a little easier because those shows are already funny. So, you know, you can kind of play with that more. But like, if it's like, oh no, this is just Star Wars. Like, this isn't like Star Wars, but like, this is like, oh, we're in the Star Wars universe. This is canon. But like, also, you know, here's a comb that says the Imperial Code to you while you comb your beard or your mustache.
Yeah. But see, I did though, like I said, it was too early because I feel like now that the Star Wars is so established with all this canon, there's a lot of good stuff you can do a variety show with, like, you know, I mean, they already had it, which they should have really done more of, I forget the name of the band at Mos Eisley. I know it's a really weird name, though.
Oh, like Max Rebo. Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes?
No, isn't like Max Rebo and like...
Oh, no, Max Rebo's band is that's Jabba's band.
Oh, well, that's a good one. What is it?
The Modal Nodes is the band.
Okay, but the Max Rebo was another good one. Like, they could have done music with, like...
Yeah.
They had, like I said, after the universe expanded so much to the point where it is now, they had a lot more to work with. Like I said, that Max Rebo would be a perfect one. Oh, he's doing a song.
Although, they tried to do that with the...
Wait, hold up. Is this band called the Jizzers? Okay, that is the actual name of the band.
Yes.
Okay. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, like I said, they could have done a lot with the established property. Now that Star Wars is Star Wars, not back then when Star Wars was like, oh, that was that cool movie. Not, oh, that's that media giant.
Right. But like to your point, like even like George Lucas, he like tried to put that musical number in Return of the Jedi in the special edition, and everyone's like, what is this? Like, get this out of here. We hate this.
Well, actually, I don't even know that musical number. I'm definitely looking that up later. But see, that's different because, again, I think it worked better when they picked one tone for each thing. It didn't work in the movie because that's not the tone. But like the Lego specials work because they pick a comedic tone. This could have worked with a comedic tone if the comedy was actually funny. You know?
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the ultimate failing of this movie, is it's not anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's not funny, it's not, like, deep, it's not profound, it's just wastes your time.
Okay,
like,
but let's say the absolute most disturbing, weirdest, how the hell did that make it to the cut scene of the movie? When Chewbacca's dad on the VR set.
Yes, that, I I can't even talk about that with a straight face. It's
like,
uncomfortable to put it generously.
Yeah, like, to put it mildly, for those of you who haven't seen it, there's a scene where this guy is selling him a VR set, and he watched a video that is, let's just say, erotic. And again, put it mildly, and he reacts to it as such. In the middle of this is Chewbacca's father in the living room in front of his family, in a Christmas special made for people of all ages.
It just goes back to who was this for? Or were the adults supposed to find that funny? Were the kids supposed to find that funny? What was going on?
Yeah, it's just like that is the it's just like, how did nobody be like, hey, isn't this a little, and by a little I mean extremely disturbing to put in this?
Yeah, that is by far the worst and most uncomfortable scene in that.
Yeah, it's just like, and also even just a side note that extra disturbing is, he's a Wookiee. They used a regular human for that. That just adds an extra layer to the disturbingness of it.
Yeah, I mean, Jabba the Hutt's the same way. It's like, why are all these aliens attracted to the human species?
Yeah. But at least with Jabba the Hutt, it was clear who that was for, why they did that. At least, is it stupid when you think about it? Yes. But there was at least, yeah, we know who this is for. With that Chewbacca's dad scene, it's like, nobody can answer you who that scene was written for. Because it wasn't written for any person.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know. So, I guess, I guess we should talk about I hesitate to say best, what is widely considered the best. I don't particularly love it, but what is widely considered the best part of the special is, again, confusing because we sit down with Lumpy, Chewbacca's son named Lumpy, or that's not his canon name, but that's his nickname. He sits down and he turns on the TV, and then the camera zooms into the TV, and we see a full length, and by full length I mean 20 minutes, cartoon, which is widely famous for being the first appearance for Boba Fett. Yeah. Which we'll get to, but are we supposed to? Is Lumpy watching a cartoon about Luke Skywalker, or is this meta for the audience? What's happening?
Yeah, and it's like, we're not part of the rebellion. Meanwhile, let me just watch this video about the rebellion in front of the stormtroopers. The setup to it is absolutely terrible. Makes zero sense. But actually, like I said, we'll get into the actual content of the cartoon, but just all the setups are terrible. When they go to the Mos Eisley bar song, what exactly is he, again, what does he want? Does he have the live feed to Mos Eisley?
Yeah, the setups are so bad.
You know what? It's the worst segment actually at least has a logical setup. The circus thing. Oh, okay, he's watching. It's a kid watching another thing. Okay, at least that setup is completely clear what's going on there. The rest of these setups make no sense.
I know it was at least partly a budgetary thing, but I really think rather than trying to shoehorn all these weird variety shows, like you were saying, into this special where it's let me turn on the TV and then we watch the TV. Oh, let me turn on this holotable and then we watch the holotable. I think, similar to how at the end of Return of the Jedi it's pans and we see all the different planets and celebrating and whatever. They should have just done that to be here's how Life Day is celebrated on Kashyyyk. With weird, Wookiee erotic. Here's how it's celebrated in Coruscant. With a cooking show. Here's how it's celebrated on Tatooine with a bar.
No, that would have been so much better.
It would have been so much better. And then you see the scope of the galaxy, and it's all right,
Well, exactly. Go back into my overall theme that it was too early in the franchise because they they didn't really realize what the scope of the galaxy was going to be. I mean, they only had the one movie.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, and then also, like I said, I want to just save the cartoon because that's going to be a big thing. Again, they brought back Harvey Corman for another scene to build that translator thing. That doesn't even work in the like. Again, it annoys me. Harvey Corman, great actor, hilarious guy, plays two different roles, and both of them were terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get into the content of the actual cartoon, which I think it's a great part. It's the at the very least the least bad part of the special. Whether or not it's actually good is that's a different question. But everything in the holiday special is definitely the best part.
Yeah, I think people are mind controlled by the rest of the special and to think like if you just a while back before the whole thing was released, Disney, they're gearing up for the Book of Boba Fett. Boba Fett's really hot right now, so they released just the cartoon in isolation of its context. And I watched it to refresh my memory, and I'm like, this is not good. But you're kind of tricked into thinking, oh. It like when you see how bad everything else is, you're like, okay, this is great, this is amazing. Like, let's keep doing this because it's. I mean, it's Star Wars and it's voiced by the original. Like you see an animated Han Solo voiced by Harrison Ford, and you're like
a somewhat Han Solo-esque. The animation is actually
the animation is very questionable, but it's an animation with the original voices, which is like I think what a lot of kids dreamed of. So like you're tricked into thinking it's good, and Boba Fett is a cool character.
Yeah, but see, I mean, but pre-Mandalorian, this really emphasizes what Boba Fett is to me. Oh, the character looks cool. Nothing like again, Mandalorian added a lot. Even that just one episode added a lot of substance to the character, but especially the original trilogy, before they had the prequel trilogy, Boba Fett just looked cool. There was no substance to the character.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I've never I'm excited for the Book of Boba Fett, but Boba Fett's always been like the most overhyped character for me because I'm like, he's a bad at his job bounty hunter, who looks really cool,
Yeah, well, that's kind of like what the special was. Oh, Boba Fett looked really cool in that cartoon, which he did look cool in the cartoon. The storyline itself is kind of weird though because he was helping them, but he wasn't helping them. The storyline, it was kind of now to be fair, I was hanging out with friends while I watched this. We talking a lot, so maybe we talked over it, but we were kind of confused because it really seemed like he was helping them, even though he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too.
Yeah, so it's a weird cartoon, but it's definitely, at the very least, the least bad part of the whole thing.
100%. It is very watchable, and it has the original voices of all the characters. So, I'd say it's worth a watch. If you watch nothing else of this special, do watch that. I mean, it is, by modern standards, not good animation, not good cartoon, but I could definitely see it resonating with some people just for the pure novelty of it.
And then let's see, Luke Skywalker just has the 2-second cameo, which is like, I don't know where Chewbacca is. It's kind of funny.
They use stock footage of Darth Vader, and he's standing next to the Admiral who blew up on the Death Star. But it's just his twin brother, I'm sure.
And though I think it was actually the only, because in the first two movies, James Earl Jones didn't feel he deserved to be credited as Darth Vader, so this was actually the first time James Earl Jones was credited as Darth Vader.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is what happens when you spend too much time on the internet. You know all these random trivia facts. But so then it's like, the plot goes nowhere.
I think that this is definitely one of those one of those specials that is sort of it's so bizarre that it sort of has its own I don't want to say cult classic, but its own charm among the fans, and they've sort of as they go, and the novels have sort of dripped some of these elements back into canon. You know, like the B. Arthur's character is canon, and like Chewbacca's family is canon, and they drip references back to it. You know, because like I don't know, it's just such a it's so bizarre. It's like a train wreck you can't look away from, covered in tinsel.
But also, let's just get talking about the ending of it. Like, we said a lot of it was not, like, random, but the ending of it, like, it got totally weird. Oh, let's put our clothes on. Let's go through this portal. Let's start singing. Like, it was like, what the hell was that ending? Like, that ending just came out of nowhere. It was like, yeah, we're Wiccan now suddenly. Like, what? Leia's singing. Yeah, what? Leia's here suddenly, and I was just gonna say, like, the ending part, like, that was like, the acid was really kicking in when they wrote that part.
Oh yeah, I always wondered, and I don't know if anyone else has looked into this. I always wondered if the orb, the peace orb at the end of Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, was like inspired by that orb from the holiday special. Because that's what I thought. I doubt Lucas
ever admitted.
That's what I thought watching.
It got really weird.
But yeah, I mean, when else are you gonna get to see like Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia sing? You know, it's so weird that you can't believe it's a real thing that exists.
That aired on TV.
But
it's
I don't know. I often wonder, like, was that like, George Lucas being ahead of its time, wanting Star Wars to be on TV, or was it just like, whatever, we got some extra props and 15 extra minutes and like an extra $1 million, like, let's just throw this together.
Yeah. But yeah, like, it wasn't a bad, the idea behind it was not a bad idea. It wasn't, like I said, it was too soon in Star Wars history, my opinion, but it could have definitely, like, it wasn't like one of those ideas was like, well, it was just a bad idea. It wasn't a bad idea. It was just so poorly handled idea. Like I said, though, it had so much potential that it was like, no, let's just take a bunch of acid and just see what falls on the pages.
Exactly.
And it was just like, but it's what though, I love to make fun of it, but you know what? It's so fun to make fun of. Like, it is the perfect movie, like, thing to hate watch almost. Like,
yeah,
watch it and watch it with friends. It's definitely something you watch with other people, so you could together laugh at how ridiculous everything is. Like, I had a ball watching it with my friends, even though it was terrible, because we were like, what the hell is happening here? What? It was hilarious. It's fun. It's so bad it's good.
I was going to say, I don't think it was at the time. I think at the time it was boring, but I think now if you look back and you just like, what's going on? You got some eggnog, you got your friends. I'd say if you haven't seen it, definitely, well, first of all, what are you doing watching this episode? But if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a fun hate watch. Or so bad it's good, or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. And it's fun in the spirit of the holidays.
Mm-hmm. So, exactly. And watch the new Star Wars holiday special, the Lego one. That's actually good.
Oh yeah, that one is let's talk. We have a little bit of time. Let's talk about that a little bit. That one was just fun.
Yeah, I love that. I had so much fun with that.
It's like, a lot of inside jokes. It's definitely not something to watch if you don't understand Star Wars, because there's so many inside jokes in it. But if you're a Star Wars fan, it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, the Lego special, like I love like seeing all the sequel trilogy characters and all the references, and it's like it's just serious enough that you're like, oh wait, is this like canon? But then it's like also really silly at the same time. I love seeing like Darth Vader interact with Kylo Ren, because you always there's all the jokes on the internet about he's like a wannabe, like a poser or whatever. It's just so fun to see all these characters who would never interact. Like, it's sort of just like a Star Wars fan's dream of you're mashing your action figures together and
yeah, that one is very worth the watch. And like you say, it almost does seem canon because how she's training Finn to be a Jedi. It almost does seem canon.
That's what I was if nothing else, it made me really want a Finn special or a Finn series where John Boyega is training under Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, he was a character that definitely got dropped in the sequel.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I mean, I know this is an episode about the sequel trilogy, but if nothing else, seeing that scene in the holiday special made me be oh no, I still want to see this. If John Boyega's still down, I still want to see this character get this treatment.
Yeah, because in the first two of the trilogy, he was fine, but in the last one, they clearly had no idea what to do with the character. It was just very obvious.
Exactly, yeah. They didn't have any idea what to do with half the cast at that point. Anyone who wasn't Kylo or Rey.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, with Poe, they had some ideas. Maybe not the best ideas, but they had at least things for him to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, Finn and a bunch of other characters are just there. It's which I definitely, like I said, this was an interesting thing to see him do something, and I'm curious, we gotta at least get a novel or something for him.
We need it. We need it so badly. We
need at least a novel.
I don't think they're gonna do a novel, only because I do think that when the time is right, they are gonna say, "Hey, John, your character got the short end of the stick. We know how much you love Star Wars. If we gave your character a meaty role, his own Disney Plus special or his own Disney Plus series, he would come back. I really do think he would come back if he knew that Finn was going to be the central character.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I don't think we'll get a special. But no, probably not anytime soon, which upsets me because I really want it.
Mm.
It was also nice to see
off topic there, title drop, but.
Yeah. It was also nice to see Rose Tico back voicing Rose, or Kelly Marie Tran voicing Rose.
Oh yeah, but another character that got short end of the stick.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun. Yeah, that was definitely very fun. The Lego special. If you, that's something you could actually watch by yourself and enjoy. The Lego special. I mean, obviously, it's always more fun to watch things with friends, but you could enjoy that by yourself. The the original holiday special. No, you need other people there with you to point at and laugh at it with.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all I have to say about the Star Wars holiday specials.
Yes. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Life Day, Happy whatever holiday you celebrate. And see you next year. Bye.